Hey everyone, Ivo once again. I wanna welcome everyone back for the next installment in Mission Impossible franchise, and of course, I'm going to review Mission Impossible 2, which I do have the Blu-ray, and I don't know, this movie sucks. Yeah, I said it. This movie fucking sucks. This is actually one of the worst Mission Impossible movies of all time. Yeah, this is gonna be a rant. I'm not gonna. I can't watch this movie because it's so painful to watch this movie. I try to watch it, but I can't because I just skip it. But I'm gonna rant it anyway because I'm doing Mission Impossible franchise. I'm gonna watch all of them except this film. And I did watch this movie last year and I fall asleep. It was so boring. This movie is so boring. The action sequences makes no sense. They don't save this film because it's so boring. Because this movie goes nowhere around. That's one of the reasons it suck. Because it go nowhere around. Because the plot hole makes no sense. The plot makes no sense. You know, it has plot holes because plot makes no sense. It goes nowhere around. It's 2 hours waste of my time, waste of everyone's time. I mean, I don't know what the fuck happened with this film. They were directed by John Woo, and I just don't fucking get this fucking film. You know, this movie is sluggish, it's boring, it's not entertaining. It says Hilly rating, MITU is a poor kinetic adventure, thumbs up, Roger Ebert. You know, I don't get Roger Ebert. I know he's the kiss, he passed away, but he said that this movie, Broken Arrow, explained why it's not a good movie, but he gave this sequel a thumbs up, which is completely wrong. You know, I would say John Woo. I'm a fan of John Woo. I love Hard Target. Love this movie. You know, love Broken Arrow. But Roger Ebert said, "Oh, so Broken Arrow is a bad movie. So Gene Siskel changed his fucking mind. You know, because it makes no sense. I would rather watch Broken Arrow because kicks ass. Unlike this movie, which is boring as fuck. It's boring as hell." I mean, the plot is boring, goes nowhere around. The plot goes nowhere around. It's just, I can't watch this movie because I'm gonna fall asleep to that because it's so boring. You know, and I'm gonna explain why this movie is not a good movie. And why it sucks. Why this movie actually sucks. And I don't think that at first, I don't think that Tom Cruise is the problem. The biggest problem is John Woo and his stupid plot and his stupid action scenes. Mission Impossible 2 is supposed to be espionage spy thriller. But this movie is not espionage spy thriller. It's a sci-fi action movie. And that's the same problem with Face Off. But I don't think that Face Off is that bad of a movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. I still think Nick Cage's over-top performance was ruined the movie, and the sci-fi elements ruined the movie, but it wasn't that bad. It at least was fast-paced. This movie was boring, went nowhere around. It was a sci-fi action film which does not fit to Mission Impossible film. It's supposed to be a spy thriller, you know. This is not correctly. I mean, Tom Cruise with long hair, sunglasses, and long coat looks like Neo from the Matrix. Does not fit in the movie. Does not feel like a Mission Impossible movie. This is not Mission Impossible movie. So we have Anthony Hopkins in it, and he's like in 2 scenes, and he's useless. He doesn't do almost jack shit in it. I mean, even Thor movies are much better than this movie. And to me, Mission Impossible 2 is one of the worst sequels of all time. All the sequels is the worst one. Everyone that criticized this movie is correctly. Everyone that hates this movie is correctly. Critics who panned this movie are right. They are correct. They're accurate. everyone who trashed this movie is accurate, is right. Because it's not a good movie. Why I do have this movie in Blu-ray collection? Why I have this movie collection? Because years ago I didn't mind it. I did not thought it was that bad. But when I watched it last year in November, I fall asleep because it was so boring, because it was so slow paced, it was so sluggish. It's slow paced, the plot goes nowhere, the movie goes nowhere, it has less action sequences. Tom Cruise does not act like he acts normally. It's just not that good of a movie. You know, I mean, this movie is supposed to be a espionage spy thriller. There's nothing espionage thriller in it. Why is more wrong with this film? First off, Ethan Hunt's team. We have like only two guys. Luther Stickle, Winger Hamis returns. He's not he's not. Winger Hamis returns, and this guy, John Paulson, who plays Billy Baird, is actually, John Paulson as Billy Baird. There are only two men of his team. They're not convincible. They're like only three men in a fucking dump, sluggish mission. It's bullshit. It's just retarded. It's ridiculous, you know. And I think his fourth member is actually Tandy Newton. She plays Nia Hall. Nia Hall. She plays Nia Hall. Tandy Newton plays Nia Hall. She's a thief. I don't know why she's a thief, but it makes no story. The romance between Tom Cruise and Tandy Newton is platonic in this movie. The score by Hans Zimmer is god awful. I don't mind for the Mission Impossible 2 theme, but his score is terrible. It tries to do a romance. It's terrible. I just cannot watch this movie anymore. I can't give this movie a pass. This is not Mission Impossible film. And I got it why it's the worst one. But I still don't get it why John Woo, why Roger Ebert gives the thumbs up to this movie, but he said that this movie sucks. Broken Arrow and his critic friend, co-worker, Gene Siskel changed his mind because of Roger Ebert. I mean, that's really fucking bogus, man. That's really fucking stupid, man. I mean, I will watch Broken Arrow anytime that this movie. You know, I'll watch Hard Target. I'll watch Hard Boiled. Paycheck gets crap on it. I mean, I'll watch The Killer. I'll watch A Better Tomorrow 2. You know, I will actually even watch Face Off as a time waster, because I'm not a big into that movie anymore. But this movie is actually one of John Woo's worst directions, worst movies he ever did. I will take any of his Hong Kong stuff over this film. And when I read it last night on trivia, all the directors who did all the Mission Impossible films, Brian De Palma was asked if he will return for the sequel. He wasn't interested. Brad Bird, J.J. Abrams, who directed the third one, was asked to return, but he was busy with his other projects like Lost and Star Wars, you know, and his other projects that he was working. Brad Bird was asked to do the sequel, but he wasn't interested. Christopher McGuire, who directed the fifth movie, was asked to reprise to sit in the director's chair, and he returned for the sixth movie, and he's now filming the seventh and the eighth movie with Tom Cruise. But all the directors were asked to return, except John Woo, because John Woo's direction was the worst one. It just wasn't like it did not feel like Mission Impossible. There's barely any action sequence in it. I mean, the whole movie, nothing happens, does not move anywhere. It's just boring as fuck. You know, this is the most boring movie I have ever seen. It has way too much sci-fi elements, and that completely ruins Mission Impossible. I mean, Anthony Hopkins is in it. He's much better in Thor movies than this movie, and he doesn't do jack shit in this film. And actually, John Woo's cut was 3 hours long, but the Paramount Pictures said no. They demanded that he does a cut, so he did a cut of 2 hours. But John Woo was terrible choice for the director. You know, it barely has any action in it. John Woo was terrible. Mission Impossible 2 is a terrible sequel. It's one of the worst sequels. And I understand why it is actually considered one of the worst Mission Impossible movies, because it's nothing good about this film. You know. I'm just not fan of this fucking film. I mean, it's PG-13, it's over 2 hours long, way too long, way too boring. You know, even Face Off wasn't that much bad as this movie. You know, Broken Arrow, I will watch Broken Arrow anytime. I'm taking Broken Arrow over Mission Impossible 2 anytime. Broken Arrow kicks ass. You know, even that movie, that movie I hated, Walking Tall. That movie with Nick Cage and John Woo the second time, I think was I can't remember the title right now. That war movie with Japans and with the Japs and I think was Wind Talkers. It was Wind Talkers. Wind Talkers is better than MI2. You know, but Mission Impossible 2 is the worst sequel ever. John Woo demanded that Tom Cruise uses stunt doubles. That he uses stunt doubles. But Tom Cruise did 95% of his own stunts. But many, it's like CGI. Many of the stunts are actually CGI in it. He wanted that he has stunt doubles, but Tom Cruise disagreed with him. I mean, John Woo, what the fuck you're doing, John Woo? What the fuck did he do? This movie is so painful to watch. I can't watch. I'm not gonna watch it because last year I fall asleep through the entire movie. And I did watch this movie on VHS tape back in 2001 because my good friend and neighbor said how good this movie is. But that time, even though it was kind of boring, I kind of accepted. But now, when I'm a fan of this franchise, and I'll tell you which is my favorite movie. When I'm a fan of this franchise, I just can't give a pass to this movie. I actually thought that when critics panned this movie and ranted on this movie, I thought, you guys are wrong, this movie is a good one. But when I watched last year, even if I tried to watch last night because I downloaded, I don't want to watch on my TV this movie, I just saw how painful this movie is, you know. So okay, so now I'm bitching about for like 40 minutes, and I didn't even go into the plot hole or why it was why in my opinion it's not a good movie. Okay, so the plot talks about Ethan Hunt with long hair gets back. He's like in Australia in this airplane, and Rade Serbegia plays Dr. Nikovic. I can't pronounce his last name. Novakovic. Probably Novakovic. He plays the Serbian actor Rade Serbegia. He plays Dr. Novakovic. I can't pronounce his last name. I think he's a chemic or a scientist, a chemic scientist. He invented a virus called Chimera which is I think is it's actually a huge virus chimera that he's on a plane, and he is taken with him. Unaware in the airplane, he thinks that Ethan Hunt is with him because they're friends, but it turns out Douglas Scott, who plays Rogue Agent, now MIF Rogue Agent, Sean Ambrose. I mean, Sean Ambrose, they stole the ring name from W.E. Dean Ambrose. They stole his last name from the ring's name from the wrestler Dean Ambrose. Why? They just stole his ringside name. I don't give a fuck when Dean Ambrose showed up in WWE. I don't give a fuck. But Douglas Scott was not actually convincing as a villain. He wasn't convincing enough as a villain. And so now Dino Ambrose, as disguise of Ethan Hunt, kills Radio Serpegia, steals the virus, jumps out of the plane, he causes that plane crashes, kills over 200 passengers. Why? Why he kills 200 passengers? What did he have with that? Except killing, escaping from the plane. I don't get it. Why he killed all the passengers? Oh, he's a terrorist. But every terrorist has actually a motive. This guy has no motive to do that. I thought it sucked. So they call. So now, Tom Cruise with that CGI rose, the CGI they removed it. The CGI, he's climbing. He goes and he gets a new mission if he accepts it. A new mission in which he has to recruit Nia Hall. And at first it looks like okay, so then Spain, he tries to recruit Nia Hall, copies this movie, while Nia Hall and Ethan Hunt are speeding. They stole the scenes from this movie, GoldenEye, that I love to death, and when James Bond was racing with Xenia on a top, with her Ferrari. But this movie is a badass spy film that I love to death, GoldenEye I love to death. This movie isn't. Even on trivia it's written that they actually used the scene from this movie. They stole it. So Nia Hall crashed. At first she was trying to steal a necklace or something. So suddenly he's like a owner of that gallery or whatever she was stolen. I just don't understand this movie. So recruits her. They're now lovers, and then she goes because she used to date Sean Ambrose. Why she was dating Sean Ambrose? She was his accomplice until she decided to go solo, which she did, and oh my god, this movie fucking sucks to pieces, to high heaven. Fucking sucks, this fucking movie. So he recruits her, and then his boss, played by Anthony Hopkins, tells her that she has to go undercover to Sean Ambrose to find out where the hell is the virus, in actually is the hunt for this virus chimera, in which Sean Ambrose wants to sell the virus to the Highbinder. Yeah, the one that's raised him high, he wants to sell, while the IMF agents wants the chimera to bring the back. So they hired Ethan Hunt to bring the deadly virus chimera back in Australia. But Tom Cruise's team is not convincing because they're only Luther Stickle and this guy Billy Baird. He never returned in any of the sequels. Only Luther Stickle returned, but he never returned in the sequel. They're just not convincing. this movie is not convincing good enough. And so she goes undercover. She tries to find where this virus is. While they're like these horses, I think they're like in these horse races. Kind of reminds me on A View to a Kill from another James Bond. Like they steal stuff like from James Bond. The horse races reminds me on A View to a Kill with Roger Moore. Yeah, that movie gets crap. It's much better than MI2 in my opinion. And yeah, so I kind of forgot that Douglas Scott, he's like in love, but turns out that Nayak, she was like double crossing him. And once again, he uses disguise, and I'm sick and tired of disguises with Ethan Hunt. The guy keeps disguising as Ethan Hunt, convinces her that she goes back, and then she uses her as a bait. He goes and infects her with the fucking chimera virus and lets her loose in the fucking city while she runs around. She's like a fucking hostage and takes almost an hour till there's a fucking action sequence while the Tom Cruise kidnaps the guy who's a buyer of the virus, and he dresses as Radha Sharbegia, and it takes way too long. The action sequence takes at least 55 minutes in the round, and Tom Cruise runs away with the virus, gets captured again. There's like all green stuff in it, jumps like a dumbass he is. It's just, this movie is just forgettable. There's neither one scene that's memorable, neither one good action scene that's memorable. It's just forgotten, and the whole movie is set in the Australia, but in the Sydney, Australia, but it's actually the hunt for the deadly virus Chimera, which I don't get it. Why it's the deadly virus for Chimera? The whole movie, and I think it's kind of forgettable then until the finale when Tom Cruise is racing with a motorcycle. I don't know why it's not even convincing with the motorcycle, and he jumps with the motorcycle in front and spin around. It goes like Neo from the Matrix. He looks like Neo and acts like Neo from the Matrix, and then spins around and fires with the gun. He looks, I swear, he looks like Keanu Reeves in this long hair, and looks like Neo in this film. And beside the finale, the motorcycle chase, the motorcycle chase, there's nothing memorable, not even one action sequence. The romance between Tom Cruise and Tandy Newton is terrible. It's just ridiculous. It's just not convincing enough. It's look like platonic. They did not convince me. Hans Zimmer scores got shitty awful for this film. I hate his soundtrack. I'd rather listen the soundtrack from Hans Zimmer for this movie, Broken Arrow. Broken Arrow kicks ass. I'd rather watch Broken Arrow. Broken Arrow is not a boring film. This is a boring, time waster, piece of shit movie. This movie fucking sucks. This movie fucking sucks. It sucks, God. It sucks. It sucks badly. This movie fucking sucks. It sucks. It sucks. This movie sucks. This movie sucks. This movie fucking sucks. It sucks. John Woo, what the fuck you're doing, Robert Towner screenplay. John Woo, what the fuck? So by the finale, which I don't know why is Nayak set in the loose, just like in that movie Outbreak. When the little monkey was set in that city, they let her in the city running with the chimera, with the virus, and then she can infect everyone. and she runs like a monkey from Outbreak. Another scene that they copied that I noticed it. But so Tom Cruise tries to get he tries to get the antidote to save Nayah, and he tries to save Nayah, and they go in a fight scene like a CGI, and Tom Cruise looks like a fucking mercenary. John Woo completely copies almost everything. It's just not convincing enough. When Tom Cruise kicks the Douglas Scott unconvincing scene in a terrible martial arts scene, which fucking sucks because it's just not Tom Cruise. And he jumps, just like in The Killer, and grabs the gun and fires the guy. John Woo screwed over this movie. He fucked up this movie. I mean, no wonder no one wants to deal with John Woo anymore. John Woo lost his touch after 2000. He lost his touch. I hated it with Talkers. I hated that first Paycheck, but now I love Paycheck. But I have, since after Paycheck, I have not seen one of his movies anymore. I have seen none of his movies anymore. If I want to watch a good movie, I watch Hard Boiled. I watch these two movies that I love. I watch Hard Target. I watch Broken Arrow. Hard Boiled. I watch The Killer. A Better Tomorrow. I watch Paycheck. I watch Face Off. As a time waster, I watch Face Off. Then this movie. But this movie just fucking sucks. So by the finale, they're like in the circus, and Anthony Hopkins says, Tom Cruise said, so next time let me know. And Anthony Hopkins says, it's not gonna be a vacation. He goes on a fucking vacation with Nayah. I hate this fucking movie. I don't know why Tandy Newton's character is a thief and she doesn't do jack shit through the whole movie until she gets play around like she gets jerk around from Douglas Scott, and she gets captured and infected with the Chimera virus in the fucking Australia. Then she runs away like a monkey from Outbreak to the city, millions of people around. It's like Outbreak 2 once again. The motorcycle chase was unconvincing. I mean, Tom Cruise looks like Neo from The Matrix. Radha Sharbeja looks like a biochemic. He looks like a fucking sci-fi. This movie looks like a fucking sci-fi film. So budget for this movie was $125 million, and it made a lot of money, like almost $1 billion. $546 million. It made this movie that much money, but they came out with a lousy story, boring movie, like goes nowhere around. There's either one action sequence that's memorable enough, because John Woo doesn't know what the fuck he's doing this movie. He just doesn't get it. Douglas Scott was terrible. He was unconvincing. Ethan Hunt's team was not good enough. First off, it wasn't good enough. This movie wasn't espionage thriller. It was just some sci-fi action movie. Steals the elements from other movies like Face Off, and makes it bad. It makes it worse. It's just painful. This movie is just a pain to watch. It's not a time waste. It's a pain to watch. I just can't watch this movie. I can't watch this movie. I can't give this movie a pass. I mean, Tom Cruise over the top performance was terrible. It was god awful. And I think that all Tom Cruise was terrible, but he was frustrated in this movie. So last year, July 2020, the actress Tandy Newton, I'll show you the actress, Tandy Newton, she plays Nayah Hall, the love interest to Tom Cruise. She said a lot of bad things about Tom Cruise that are actually true. So I wrote it down, And the actress Tandy Newton said that Tom Cruise's behavior was very dominant, individual, and it was very dominant in the individual. He was very dominant to her. He was frustrated. He was dominant to her. He wanted how she acted. Like he was unhappy. He was unhappy with her performance. And I wrote it down. Tandy Newton admitted, in her interview about Charlie Angels and how it was working with Tom Cruise. She was actually Tandy Newton, the actress. She actually was not Tandy Newton. She actually was recommended by Tom Cruise's then wife Nicole Kidman. She was recommended by Nicole Kidman. Tom Cruise's then wife, she was recommended, but so she accepted because I think that Tandy Newton and Nicole Kidman were friends and they get along, so she chose the role. But she described how it was working with Tom Cruise, because Tom Cruise last year was breaking down. He had a total breakdown. He completely had a total breakdown because he was so frustrated that he yelled on his co-workers because they did not follow the rules. Follow the rules for COVID-19. For COVID-19, they did not obey the rules for COVID-19. They did not even they did not even decide to follow and obey the way that all the security protocols for COVID-19 were in it. They just did not listen. They just ignored it, and they did not obey. And that time Tom Cruise actually lost, and he broke down while he yelled on his team that were actually working on the set of his new Mission Impossible film. And Tandy Newton admitted, before even he got a breakdown, she admitted what happened on the set, behind the scenes, what happened on a set of this movie. And I wrote it down. It's actually, you can type it and wrote Tandy Newton describes and talks about how it was working with Tom Cruise on Mission Impossible 2. So Tandy Newton admitted the Tom Cruise on set behavior scared her. His behavior scared her because he acted like a very dominant individual. The actor said Cruise's behavior pushed her further into a place of terror. Newton remembered one moment when Cruise was so frustrated with her performance that he made her switch roles with him so he could act out in front of her the performance he wanted her to do. And because day after day, he terrorized poor actress, and she noticed that he was very frustrated on her and her performance. He was like he acted like he acted just like Bruce Willis, Orson Welles. Like he was calling the shots on the film. So one of the reasons I think was Tom Cruise's fault, because he was like calling the shots. Not the director, but he was like calling the shots. And John Woo really fucked up this movie. Even though it made more money, it was panned with critics, and they were right. But Roger Ebert says that this movie thumbs up, but he describes how Broken Arrow is terrible. He says, he describes how Predator 2 is racist, and how it is actually, and how it's way too violent, which I fucking disagree with Roger Ebert. I mean, I think this guy is dumb. I think, no offense to, because he's no living with us anymore, but that was a dumb, terrible decision he said. Predator 2 is not racist. It's a badass sci-fi action movie. This movie is forgettable. Broken Arrow is a damn good movie, one of the most underrated genre movies ever. But MI2 is better. MI2 cannot come near to this movie in the middle. Broken Arrow kicks ass. I watch this movie a million times better. I watch any of these movies better than this claustrophobic, this closure, this sluggish, poorly paced, slow snore of a film, that shitty flick. It's boring snore of a fast. It's painful to watch. It's sluggish. It's boring. The movie goes nowhere around except the fucking hand for the camera. There's barely any action sequence in the fucking film. They said the motorcycle chases. Yeah, the motorcycle chases. Or the stunts are terrible. I mean, were they slipping? What kind of joints were they smoking this movie? Were all the cast beside Thandie Newton sleeping on this movie? And I don't think that Thandie Newton is actually bad. Her performance, she's not even fought. I think that Tom Cruise and John Woo are actually the problem for this film. I mean, Tom Cruise terrorized poor actress. Then he went and he called her because she thought he's gonna apologize. Poor actress, he's gonna apologize, but no, he didn't. He was more frustrated at her. He was like dominant individual, very dominant individual, and he was like frustrated on this set, because he wanted, he was calling the shots, not John Woo. And I think they both fought. And watch Mission Impossible 3, which I love to death. Watch Ghost Protocol. Rogue Nation, I love to death. Fallout. I like Fallout. Watch those movies. All the directors are asked to return. J.J. Abrams was asked to return for the sequel, but he said no. He passed it. Brad Bird directed the 4th movie. They asked him if he will return. He passed it. Christopher McGuire accepted to be the director for the next reviews because Christopher McGuire did Jack Reacher with Tom Cruise. The sequel sucked, but the first one is good. So Christopher McGuire is a damn good director. Brian De Palma was asked to return for the sequel, but he passed it for next projects. Why John Woo was not asked to do a sequel? Because everyone knows it was a snore fest. It was god awful film. It was god awful performance by any of the cast. It was terrible. Ask anyone who watched this movie. Ask them if it's good. If it's good to them, they should convince me what is so good about this film. Besides boring and snore fest of a music by Hans Zimmer, barely any action sequence that's not even memorable. I mean, with a motorcycle running around, it just, even his theme is not convincing enough. The romance between Tom Cruise and Thandie Newton is not convincing. They did not convince me enough. There barely is any romance between them. And Thandie Newton as Steve is not convincing enough. I mean, they sent Ethan Hunt to recruit her as his team, only to go undercover to get the virus back. But why? She's a thief. She's supposed to help him, but not that she goes undercover. It's just Mission Impossible 2 is not a good movie. It's not a good sequel. It's just not good of a sequel. Douglas Scott as Sean Ambrose is not convincing enough. His men are not convincing enough. And because it's 3 hours long, because because Paramount Pictures demanded that he cut, that he goes and cut scenes, it has tons of plot holes. I mean, this is PG-13 movie. It's like 2 hours and 2 hours and 3 minutes, which is way too long, and for 2000. I mean, Mission Impossible 2 is actually the worst one. And yeah, one of my friends this is actually his favorite film, but it's not my favorite. I can't watch this movie anymore. Even it's in the set in Australia, Sydney. I have nothing against Australia. I would like to see it someday. But the plot makes no sense. The movie goes nowhere around. It's so boring. It's a boring movie. Nothing happens. It's slow paced. It goes so paced. It's so slow. The action sequences are not memorable. There's barely any action sequences that I can remember this film. And the team, they're like only 2 men that work with Tom Cruise, and they don't do much of the film. Luther Stickle, he only fires once with a gun, and that is it. And Billy Bird, he's like only on the helicopter, and that is it. His team is not convincing enough. And even Tandy Newton, she's a gorgeous, a great actress. Yeah, I had to sneeze because this movie is a snore fest. But Tandy Newton is just not good of a team member. The relationship between Tom Cruise and Tandy Newton was platonic in this movie, not convincing enough. And I noticed it, like the horse racetrack looks like borrowed from A View to a Kill from James Bond. The car racing between Tandy Newton and Tom Cruise is stolen from James Bond's GoldenEye. This movie in the middle that I love. I love GoldenEye to death. And they stole the race scenes from Pierce Brosnan and Xenia Onatopp, who are racing. That movie was badass. It was great. That movie was PG-13. Why can't Mission Impossible 2 be like GoldenEye? You know, at least a cause, at least a motive. I don't know. I don't get it. Why did crash? Why crash and kill innocent 200 innocent people on the airplane? Why do that? Why crash in an airplane? What's your fucking motive, Douglas Scott? Why did you do that? You know, because I don't get this film. Someone please explain to me why he crashed the plane. Or to get away. How? He was wearing the mask. He was wearing the mask, you know. It's just... it just makes no sense. I mean, what the fuck John Woo was doing? You know. What the fuck? And how was this even considered a sequel? I can say MITU is one of the worst sequels I have ever seen. It's considered been the worst sequel of MI franchise, of Mission Impossible franchise. Because it's sci-fi. It's supposed to be an action film. There's barely any action scene in it. It's boring. It goes nowhere around. It's sluggish. The Tom Cruise over-the-top performance, even worse than the Nick Cage in Face Off. And like I said, I don't like Face Off, but I don't think it's that bad of a movie than MI2. Mission Impossible 2 is worse movie than Face Off. It just doesn't go anywhere around. Or it made more money. Why was that John Woo asked to do RANT a sequel? Because he fucked up. He blew it. John Woo, you blew it. But Roger Ebert considered this movie a good one. Oh, thumbs up. It's accelerated. MI2 is a pure kinetic adventure. Thumbs up. Thumbs down, Roger Ebert. I'll give thumbs up to John Woo's Broken Arrow. I'll give thumbs up to Hard Target, John Woo's Hard Target. I'll give thumbs up to John Woo's Hard Boiled, The Killer, A Better Tomorrow 2. I'll give a thumbs up Hero Tears No Sheds. I'll give a thumbs up to Face Off, but I'm not gonna give a thumbs up to this movie. I'm not gonna give to MI2 a pass. I mean, Tom Cruise was frustrated. He was frustrated. He was very dominant. He wanted everything. He was calling the shots, not John Woo. They both fucked up. What the fuck, John Woo and Tom Cruise? What the fuck? I enjoy and love the first one. I love the first one to death. I love the third one. I love the fifth one. I love the fifth one to death. Yes, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation is my favorite Mission Impossible film. Mission Impossible 3 is the second one, and the first is actually my third favorite. Those are my top 3 best Mission Impossible films. But this movie, all 6 movies, all 5 movies are better than this movie. But Mission Impossible 2 is just lame CGI, lame excuse. It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie. I don't buy Tom Cruise and Tandy Newton as a couple. They will be a terrible couple. I don't buy them. I hate the music score by Hans Zimmer, and I hate this film. I hate this film. I hate Hans Zimmer's music score for this film. The world's greatest pirates in the movie event of the year, MI2. Top action director John Woo brings his own brand of excitement. What excitement? There's no excitement to this mission that he finds Ethan Hunt partnering up with the beautiful Nia Hall to stop renegade agent Sean Ambrose from raising a new kind of terror. What terror? Unsuspecting word. But before the mission is complete, they'll traverse the globe and have to choose between everything they love and everything they believe in. This makes no sense. This description makes no sense. What excitement? What excitement? What adventure? What excitement? The movie goes nowhere around. Imagine you're in an island. The island doesn't move anywhere. You're stuck in stuck in the same portal. No night, just day. It goes nowhere, and you get frustrated and bored. That's how this movie is. Frustrated and bad from the beginning till end. Frustrated, bored, boring as hell. Goes nowhere around. I fall asleep. I can't watch this movie. It's painful to watch. It's awful, it's a devastating piece of shit movie. It's a shitty movie. It's a shitty sequel. It's a piece of shit movie. It sucks badly. It sucks. It stinks. This movie stinks. God, it stinks. This movie stinks. Why the fuck I have this movie? I have this movie for the collection. I have all 5 Mission Impossible movies except the 6th, and I'll still rather watch Fallout than this movie ever again. I can't watch this film, man. I can't watch this film. I can't watch, even as a time waster, I can't watch this film. Because it goes nowhere around. The plot goes nowhere around. There's barely any action sequence in it. It takes like 50 minutes until we see the first action shootouts with Tom Cruise, but it's not executed well. And Tom Cruise with the fucking coat and his fucking sunglasses, his long hair looks like Keanu Reeves as Neo from the Matrix. Why he looks like Neo from the Matrix? It just makes no sense. It just doesn't look like a Mission Impossible film. Mission Impossible film is supposed to be espionage thriller. The first one is espionage thriller. The third one, the fourth one, the fifth and the sixth one, all of them are espionage thriller. This movie is not espionage thriller. It does not even evolve about espionage thriller. Anthony Hopkins is useless in this movie. He's bad in the film. He doesn't do the whole movie jack shit. I mean, Luther Sticker only fires once. The gun, that rocket launcher, it's not even a rocket launcher, MI said it too loud. It's not even that rocket launcher. And his other comrade doesn't do anything except just smiling with a fucking helicopter. I mean, it just makes no sense. Oh, so now Tom Cruise is actually hunting down Sharon Ambrose for the antidote, and then he goes and fights off Sharon Ambrose, you know, on a ridiculous, laughable way. It was laughable. Or he's driving a motorcycle. It's just terrible, ridiculous. Mission Impossible 2 is the worst Mission Impossible film ever, the worst sequel ever. Anyway, that's my rant on Mission Impossible 2. A sluggish, shitty, god-awful, snore of a fest, devastating, boring film, the worst boring film, that painful film to watch. A piece of shit trash movie. This movie is garbage. It's a trash movie. You know, I will never watch this film again. I never watch. Anyway, that's my rant on Mission Impossible 2. I will be reviewing soon the third one, which is much better film. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And take care. I'm out. Peace.